I get it. You're live. Hello and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. I lost my concentration and I didn't pay attention for a minute. And tonight we got a great show for you. And my great co-host, David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers. Thank you.
Greetings and blessings, everybody. And we hope you're doing well.
Yes, I did something wrong there, but anyway, we're good. Driving the bus and the thing went away and I thought I hit the X and there I was. How about that?
And there we go, eh?
Yeah, we're live and in person tonight.
It's another day in the Milky Way.
Exactly. We're back again. It's good to be back, isn't it?
It is good to be back. Yes, it is.
Yeah, sorry about last weekend, but you know, life gets in the way and I got to work. That's what pays the bills and keeps the internet going here.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you and Duggar taking over.
He's got a loud bark.
That's right. Sometimes my dogs do the same thing too, but tonight they're awful quiet, so that's a good thing. But tonight we got some great stuff for you. I bought a book, an old book, and in that book there was some newspaper clippings, a bunch of them, and I am going to share one of them with you tonight. And I think these clippings were from the 70s, so it's an old piece of paper. The one
1970s or 1870s?
1970s.
You make me feel so old.
Well, for newspaper, 1970s.
I'm kidding.
Oh yeah. The one here has a date on it. It says the Jacksonville Journal, Thursday, January 7th, 1971. So that's where I'm basing these off of. But anyway, and I thought it was kind of neat, you know, because I could take these articles and I can share them with everybody. And so here I'm going to do some sharing and come on, share screen. I hope this goes good. But here we go. I hope you all can see that. I'm going to blow it up so we can all read it. The first Indians here were the Timucans. I guess I'm saying that right. What do you think of that? Timucans? Timucans. You know, I can never say that stuff right. Anyway, I know you're always correcting me on the pronunciation.
I was on another page, sorry.
Oh, okay. What do you say that name is? I'm going to mispronounce it. Timucans or Timucans or Mukans.
My computer's acting up. Hang on.
You look good on this side unless you're frozen. But anyway, the earliest Indians in the Bradford County area were members of the Timucan tribe, a branch of the Muskegon Nation. The Timucans were found in this general area by the Spaniards and the French during the early part of the 16th century. That's going way back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's see. The century into the 17th century. Branches of the Timucans tribe included the Potanos, who lived in the savannas near Alchuca. The Sarturi was near the mouth of the St. Johns River, and the Okinokis just south of the Santa Fe River, and the Yamasis not far south of the Gainesville area. That must be Georgia, right? Gainesville, Georgia. The Timucans assent on the second syllable of the Timucans, there they go, were conquered by the Spaniards, offering little resistance. Oh, maybe it was Florida. And were to an extent civilized and converted to the Catholic religion. Several things led to the downfall of these tribes. Disease wiped out almost half of the Mission Indians between the years 1649 and 1672. An 8-month rebellion further reduced the native Indian population. Later, near the end of the 17th century, tribes from north instigated and sometimes accompanied by the English further destroyed and carried away more and more of the Temucans. The remainder of the original tribes were moved to the south, and some were even carried to Cuba by the Spaniards. Replacing the original inhabitants were the Ishti, the Seminole, meaning wild men, later known as the Somalis or Seminoles, a group of lower creeks composed of fragments of numerous reduced and broken tribes, plus Negroes who had escaped from the Spanish and English owners. During this period, there was a constant strife between the Spanish located at St. Augustine and the English in South Carolina, as well as battles between the various Indian tribes in Georgia and Florida. And the present area of Bradford County must have been a no man's land in this continuing strife. The first Seminole Indian War occurred in 1817 and 1818. Andrew Jackson invaded Florida and destroyed some Seminole towns, particularly a big one located in the Swanee River, or on the Swanee River. There's a song by that name, isn't there? On the Swanee River. You don't want to hear me sing it.
Far, far away.
There you go. Get out your guitar. Let's do a duel. Later, the Governor Monroe of South Carolina led the invasion of Florida, accompanied by a huge force of Seminoles. When the attack on St. Augustine failed, the Indians stayed in this area and harassed the white settlers for many years. The number of Seminoles in Florida is estimated to have been around 4,000 at that time. In 1835, the Second Seminole War broke out, and for 7 years, this area was the scene of a bitter conflict, with the few settlers trying to hold out and avenging Indians roaming in the wild bands, killing, burning, and scalping at unprotected outposts. Finally, in 1842, the war was declared to be over, and there were only a small fraction of the Indians left, as most had fled to the swamps of South Florida or had been shipped to reservations in other states. Later, there were isolated instances of Indian attacks, but for the most part, the country in this region was free of the menace after 1850. The following mention of a skirmish with the Indians in the area is told by General Malcolm in his mission to the Seminoles. Macomb?
Yeah, there's
Like
no L.
Oh, okay.
Macomb.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like you comb your hair.
Yep.
In this mission to the Seminoles, a diary written at Gary's Ferry, Fort Hyman, near Middlesburg. Go back up here. Friday, April 12th, 1839. Information reached here today of a battle being fought between the Indians and a company of volunteers about 20 miles from Fort Harley and about 50 miles from this place. The Indians were in the hammocks, and as they were coming out, the volunteers attacked them on the opposite side, and it is said defeated them, and it is said killed 3 Indians, and taking all their packs and horses and capturing 1 Negro. Fort Harley was located in the southern part of Bradford County, near the north bank of Santa Fe River. Its location is shown by a government plat of 1855 as being in the northeast quarter of the northeast quarter of Section 34, Township 7, Range 21 East, about 3/4 of a mile southwest of Hampton Lake, then known as Little Santa Fe. Inasmuch. I thought that was a name of somebody.
Inasmuch.
Yeah, I love their spelling. It is, you know,
Milky.
that's like a Southern thing. As much as the above reference is to volunteers, it may be that they were early settlers from this area. The territorial governor of Florida had asked the settlers of each square of 10 miles erect their own blockhouse and patrol their area at least 3 times a week. In addition to Fort Harley, this immediate area had Fort Crab on the banks of the New River and Fort Van Cortlandt a few miles southwest of Kingsley Lake. A second Indian War in the middle 1830s, when the Seminoles and the white settlers often fought through the pine woods and swamps, caused frequent interruption of services at the New River Baptist Church, which was founded in 1833. Minutes of the church report that during the annual meeting of November 27, 1835, an Indian alarm broke up the meeting and caused a postponement of feet washing. There was no church conference from April 1836 until September 1837 because the people are all broke up, some gone one way and some gone another. John Tucker was elected as first pastor of the church on September 20th, 1833. The Indians never attended his meetings, but gave him a great deal of trouble. He was compelled to travel through the woods by night, often returning home by daylight, frequently shot at by the Indians. He carried in his body one of their bullets until his death. It is recorded that he funeralized more people butchered by Indians than any other preacher who ever lived in Florida. Well, go figure that. What do you got to say on that behalf?
Old Dan Tucker. Old John.
Yeah, John Tucker, our first pastor. He was shot by plenty of Indians. And when we died, he put us in the ground.
He funeralized so many of his kin.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta love that. Oh, we just have way too much fun. I want to say howdy to everybody in the chat room. Chloe's in the house. I hope she's feeling better. She was a little sick there for a while. She got the bug. Susie Q's in the house. Scotty boy, he's tending us tonight and giving his wisdom out left and right. Oh, that almost rhymes. Deborah L. Smith's in the house. There we go. And I'm sure there'll be a few others. It's kind of a slow night tonight. Chloe says, Hawkeye, what's going on? Are you okay? You want to give the scoop to everybody what's going on, or that's up to you?
Yeah, I can.
You go right ahead.
Basically, I've had some something's happened to my back, and I'm going to have to go back in the hospital. Whatever it is has happened, and I've had physical therapy here today and occupational therapy, and they both suggested that I go to the ER and not wait this out. Medicare has denied the doctor's request for another MRI to find out just exactly what happened. But a week ago, something happened. No, not a clue what, but I'm having a lot of difficulty walking and getting around, where a week ago, I was about running laps around the house. So something has happened inside, and until I can get the test, I won't know what's going on. But it's been a painful last week because the DEA is in control of medicines for the doctors, and they can only prescribe so much for so many days, and I'm out of the quota. So anyway, here we are, and I'm loving being here on Tuesdays with Robert V and everybody, and being able to relate stories and so forth. And I try not to think about my own physical ailments, because I know there are a lot of other people out there who are suffering in their own ways. And I try not to bring attention to myself, but other people that are suffering. So in this instance, I don't know what's going on. I just know that I'm I'm broken. I'm not walking like I was a week ago. And the physical therapist today didn't even want me to stand up. That's how bad it is. So and he was like, Mr. Null, my suggestion is on a professional basis, you should go to the ER.
Mm.
So, and here I sit with Robert and y'all. Because I can here at home, as much as I'm in pain, I can have coffee, and I can pet my dog, and I can be here with Robert, and that means a lot. It means a whole lot to be able to be home and comfortable in that respect. And the pain, well, anyway,
Well, let's see. Oh,
it just
Chloe
is
said,
what it is.
well, Scotty Boy says he knows a guy who knows a guy. He knows a guy. And Chloe says, take care of you. You better think about it. We're gonna kick your butt. Go to the ER. So there you go. If she lived
Yeah,
closer, she'd
well,
probably show up and pick you up and haul you down there yourself. So, but anyway.
yeah, well, one of the things is this just happened today. So I'm still new at this. Tomorrow I have to reconvene and call doctors and so forth, and see what my options are. So but no, I'm not gonna I can't sit here too much longer because I can't handle it, quite frankly.
I don't know if
That's
you can
all I
see.
can do to sit here and not wiggle all over the screen.
I don't know if you see the chat, but Chloe says, I love you, Hawkeye. I know it does, but being alive means more. Well, there you
Yep,
go.
I understand. I
Yep.
really do.
Yeah. Lucky Stone is in the house. Thank you for coming. I left a nice comment on his last walk and talk. You know, he's inspired me to start doing some shorts too. And tomorrow, I think, is the day when I'm going to start doing those shorts. I started a whole nother new YouTube channel so that I don't do them on these channels. So when they ban me for saying something stupid, they don't take down the whole darn channel. So once I get it going, guys, I'm gonna let you know what it is, and it'll be under a different name. It'll be different stuff, but it'll be like funny news, headlines of the day. I think I did a little bit here once, just for shits and giggles. And what I'm gonna do is just stuff people don't ever hear about, news that's out there. And I'm going to do it with a funny twist. So there you go. Put my own little 2 cents in. I hope you all enjoy it, but I've been practicing with my buddy, and he says, your time is, he says, Padawan, you're ready to go. You will be a Jedi soon.
Ah, grasshopper.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly it. Yes, that's right, Scotty boy. It'll be Stupid Talk and Stupid Talk Daily. That would be a good slogan. Stupid Talk and Stupid Talk Daily. I like that. Scotty boy, can I steal that headline? I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna write that down. Stupid Talk and Stupid Talk Daily. Gotta love it. Okay, guys. I'm writing this down. What else do you got to say? Well, you got a story for tonight? I got another article here though.
Yeah, I'm trying to load it up now. That's
So you can tell me which one it is.
yeah, it's in the Seneca. That book that you sent me in PDF of the Seneca.
Okay.
And I'm trying to find the story right now. So
Jargo Smith's in the house, and Shirley has joined us. Shorts are fun and get a lot of views in unexpected times and ways. Yes, they do. They're the in thing. That's what it is. Okay, well, I have another one to share with you all. And this is kind of interesting. This is what came in that book I paid $100 for. I paid $100 for a book that had a piece of paper article in it. How about that? Okay. It says Florida Indian skull, 5,200 years old. Northport, Charlotte. That's kind of North Carolina, right? Carl.
No, it's over near Jacksonville, I think. Port Charlotte.
Okay, that's where it is. I knew you. That's out east. I don't know where any of that stuff is. Carl Clausen may not be around for the follow-up, but he has announced both an archaeological find, which should keep an anthropologist buzzing for months, and his resignation as Florida's chief marine archaeologist. Today, he and his team of divers and photographers finish the latest phase of their exploration of the Little Salt Springs near here. Clausen said that most significant find thus far, the skull of an Indian girl, also includes a large portion of her brain, preserved for 5,200 years. That's a result of lab reports conducted on the skull. Clausen was reluctant to reveal just where the skull or other samples are being stored for further research. But aside, he said that the state laboratory of Tallahassee had confirmed that Clausen suspected since he found the skull last month. I was really shaken. It looked like a preserved brain, but I thought maybe it's a crust of a mineralized formation where the brain used to be. Or maybe it was just something funny, like a wild growth inside, but it'd been the brain. Clausen told newsmen yesterday, relating his impressions upon discovering the skull. He found the skull while diving with Dr. Kelly Brooks, geologist professor at the University of Florida. The skull was on the upper portion of the hourglass-shaped 210-foot deep sinkhole and was brought to the surface and placed in a formaldehyde solution for further study. Clausen hinted that the skull was shipped to Japan and then back to Tallahassee. He said Japanese experts used carbon-14 tests to date the skull at 5,200 years old, give or take 90 years. And the girl's age was placed at 8 at the time of her death. It's extraordinary, almost unbelievable, said Clausen, who will take up a similar post for the state of Texas early next year. Nobody could believe that a brain could exist for 5,000 years in a preserved state, but apparently it has, he added. The expedition resumes in February and hopes to probe several deep levels of the sinkhole near Northport, Charlotte. Since the skull discovery late in November, the scientists have pulled up human and animal bones, but nothing as spectacular as the skull. Clausen said the find was not unprecedented, but scientists have been skeptical of a brain found by Colonel William Royal not far from here in 1959. He hoped careful documentation and research of the latest skull would reveal new information about the inhabitants of Florida Peninsula in the ancient times. I just thought that was kind of very interesting. You know?
Yeah. Let's see, it would be, well, the Tallahassee area, east and west, but east of Tallahassee on the Alachua and some of the other rivers, the Osceola, and some of them start in southern Georgia, not too far from where I live. And they found all kinds of ancient prehistoric animal bones. I mean, you know, 1,000,000 years old kind of thing, and all kinds of saber-toothed tiger teeth and stuff. Just and by diving in the rivers near some of the springs that are in Florida. So there's still a lot of stuff that's being discovered, and a lot of it just by you know, private divers.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that will never get put on a shelf because somebody found them. Much like I have certain things that I have found over the years that it's not in a museum, but I got it sitting here in the window, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, of course, people see stuff, they pick it up and take it home. Who wouldn't?
Right.
I mean, it's like, oh, look at my treasure. That's what people
I
do.
I found this artifact and and I got several of them. I've got some Indian pottery and
Mhm.
and maybe at some point they should be in a museum, but
Yep.
there are I say they're private collectors. They're just folks like me that find stuff and take it home. It's not like they're trying to do something illegal or anything. Now there are those that have been doing some illegal profiteering from some of this stuff, but a lot of it though, I know several folks myself who just like to go down there and go snorkeling and looking on the bottom of the rivers and so forth. I want to
Yeah.
I want to go with them if I could ever get better. I want to be
Oh,
one of them. But anyway,
oh yeah. I mean, there's lots of stuff to find, and that's what my next bit is going to come to. And it's talking. I got this. It's called the journey. We got the Book of the Dead. Now, yesterday I did a show on the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and that was very interesting. Because they were talking about the afterlife. What is the afterlife? Where do you go? Who do you see? You got Osiris, and you go through the land, and you're going to this blissful field, and so forth and so on. And there's monsters out there, and Ra's in his boat, and he's floating around, and you're praying to Ra, say, because he's looking down upon you, and you're saying, oh, thank you, just let me get to the other side where it's blissful. I mean, so that's the thing. And you're taking this path, and you got this book that you bought before you died, and you're studying it. And you got to know all these different prayers to say, oh, this is good, and please let me pass, and so forth and so on. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
and it's like in some of the mythology, you got to be able to pay the boatman to take you across the river Styx, you know,
yep.
and if you
Mhm.
don't pay him enough or whatever, and blah blah blah, and so. But yeah, I get it. Yep.
Yeah, when you get there, Osiris, he's they're I forget what you hire a Dewani, and he's your guide, and then you got what you call it, you go get there, and Anubis is there and stuff like that. But anyway, they weigh your heart against a feather. Is your heart heavier than the feather or lighter than the feather? So anyway, you got the scales basically saying were you joyful or not joyful, kind of thing. So anyway, that got me questioning and saying, what did the Indians believe? So I did some studying, as I always do, and I try to bring you guys the best information I can find. And here I got this book, and it's an old book from 1800s, of course, again, and it's talking about this is from that Jesuit book, and the priests are talking about the Indians, and it's the journey of the dead. So
The Jesuits.
yes, so they're recording all of this as they saw it, and they're recording what the Indians believed, and then of course they're gonna impose their religion on them, but and before they propose their religion on them and force them to take it, they're going to record what the Indians' religion is first. So the primitive Indian believed in the immortality of the soul, but he did not always believe in a state of future reward and punishment, nor when such a belief existed was the good to be rewarded a moral good, the evil to be punished a moral evil. I guess that led him to go out and cause war. Skillful hunters, brave warriors, men of influence and consideration went after death to the happy hunting ground, while the slothful and cowardly and the weak are doomed to eat serpents and ashes in dreary regions of mist and darkness. In the general belief, however, there was but one land of shades for all alike. The spirits in form and feature as they have been in life, went their ways through the dark forest to the villages of the dead, subsiding on bark and rotten wood. On arriving, they sat all day in the crouching posture of the sick, and when night came, hunted the shades of animals, when the shades of bows and arrows among the shades of trees and rocks. For all things, animate and inanimate, were alike immortal, and all passed together to the gloomy country of the dead. The belief respected the land of souls varied greatly in the different tribes and different individuals. Among the Hurons, there were those who held the departed spirits, and they pursued their journey through the sky along the Milky Way. Hey, the Milky Way. While the souls of their dogs took another route, the route by certain constellations known as the ways of the dogs. Even the dogs went, oh, in their movie, All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yep. And
Anyway.
all dogs go to heaven too.
Yeah, there you go. The intervals of 10 or 12 years, this is where it gets kind of interesting. At intervals of 10 to 12 years, the Hurons, the Neutrals, and other kindred tribes were accustomed to collect the bones of their dead. That's why I got that one article there with the skull, and I thought there might be something to this. The Neutrals and other kindred tribes were accustomed to collect the bones of their dead and deposit them with great ceremony in a common place of burial. The whole nation was sometimes assembled at this congregation, and hundreds of corpses brought from their temporary resting places were inhumed in one capacious pit. From this hour, the immortality of their souls began. They took wing, as some affirmed, in the shape of pigeons, while the greater numbers declared that they journeyed on foot and in their own likeness to the land of the shades, bearing with them their ghosts of the wampum belts, beaver skins, bows, arrows, pipes, and kettles, beads and rings, buried with them all in the giant common grave. So maybe that's why people dig up these mounds or pits or whatever, because with all the bones, they put all their possessions in there and buried it all. But as the spirits of the old and the children were too feeble for the march, they are forced to stay behind, lingering near their earthly villages, where the living often hear the shuddering of their invisible cabin doors, and the weak. Oh, that's like having ghosts around. See, now they got a good. Well, that's a ghost.
They didn't have enough energy to make the walk.
Yeah, so they stay behind. That's right. And the voices of the dismembered children driving birds from their cornfields, the endless variety of incoherent fantasies of connected with the Indian idea of the future life. They commonly owe their origin to dreams, which we know. We've talked about dreams. They do a lot of dream things. They believe dreams. Dreams are predictions of the future, often through the dreams of those in extreme sickness, who on awakening suppose that they had visited the other world. They're related to the wondering bystanders that they had seen. The Indian land of souls is not always a region of shadows and gloom. The Hurons sometimes represented the souls of their dead, those of their dogs included, as dancing joyously in the presence of an Atastic and Johaska. According to some Algonquin traditions, heaven was a scene of endless festivity, the ghosts dancing to the sounds of rattles and drums and greeting with hospitable welcome an occasional visitor from a living world, for the spirit land was not far off, and the roving hunters sometimes passed its confines unawareness. Most of the traditions agree, however, that the spirits of the journey heavenward were beset with difficulties and perils. There was a shift swift river which must be crossed on a log with and that shook beneath their feet, while a ferocious dog opposed their passage and drove many into the abyss. The river was full of sturgeon and other fish, which the ghosts speared from their substance. Oh, they speared them for the substance. Beyond was a narrow path between moving rocks, which each instant crashed together, grinding to atoms the less nimble of the pilgrims who tried to pass. The Hurons believed that the personage named Ostarch or Head Piercer dwelt in the bark house beside the path, and that it was his office to remove the brains. There we go with the brains again, just like the Egyptians did, from the heads of all who went by, as a necessary preparation for immortality. This singular idea is found also in some Algonquin traditions, according to which, however, the brain is afterwards restored to its owner. Dreams were the Indians' universal oracle. They were revealed to him. His guardian spirit taught him the cure of his diseases, warned him of his devices of sorcerers, guided him to the lurking places of his enemy or haunts of game, and unfolded the secrets of good and evil destiny. The dream was a mysterious and intoxicating power, whose least behest must be obeyed to the letter, a source in every Indian town of endless mischief and abomination. There were professed dreamers and professed interpreters of dreams. One of the most noted festivals among the Hurons and the Iroquois was the Dream Fest, a scene of frenzy which the actors, next page. These pages are thin. I don't want to break them. They rallied into madness, and the town was like a bed-laden turned loose. Oh, yeah. Each pretended to have dreamed of something necessary to his welfare, and rushed from house to house, demanding of all he must to guess his secret requirement and satisfy it. Now that must have been a fun festival.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, anyway, it just goes on here about the material world. Powers.
Can I stop you a second?
Yes, go ahead.
And before we go too far ahead, thinking about that they took the brains out.
Yes.
As a necessary arrangement before life eternal, but then in some cases the brain went back. Now I'm just curious as to the brain. Well, that's the memory and stuff. Why would the spirit like take out the memory? Why the brain? I'm just postulating here. But it was interesting that in some cases, didn't you say the brain was given back?
Yeah, they said they would get the brain back later.
Right.
But still, it's kind of funny how even though they're Indians and they're not really doctors, but they knew that organ inside of your head is what really controls everything.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that kind of interesting? That's what I think.
Yeah, from that standpoint, they knew the brain was, they knew the head had the brain, and that was, because after probably 1,000 years of getting hit in the head, they probably figured it out, that, you get hit in the head too many times, you're going to, but not only that, but, they knew where all the organs were because they had taken people apart before. So, unfortunately, they knew where the stomach was, and they knew where the liver was, and they knew where these different organs were inside and in some native traditions, I don't think in North America, but maybe in South America and also in some of the Pacific Islands where they, literally they would cook the brain and eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Kuru and some of that stuff would get, because they literally ate grandma's brain, and buried her bones literally in the floor of where they lived,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't as part of a cannibalism, but it was part of that they wanted to keep grandma with them and or whomever. But but in the native traditions, though, in how they viewed, death, I've talked with a lot of elders and folks, and I don't remember any. Now they weren't Huron, and they were more Cherokee and Lakota and Plains Indians and Cheyenne, and and some Canadian tribes that I can't remember at the moment, but their idea of death was not like as described. So
Yeah.
whatever the Jesuits wrote down in that book, now they kept referring to the Hurons, and that would be the Northeast. But from the Southwest and the Western tribes, I've not heard that story about, the brain being taken out and the river and all that. It's just pretty much more simple. You pass on to the Great Spirit. Your
Yeah.
energy becomes part. Now there are traditions, and like some traditions had the body up on posts so that their spirit would be that much closer to the heavens, and you didn't mess with the body for so many days afterwards, and just certain traditions like that. But as far as what was on the other side, it was basically that you went to go walk with your ancestors. You
Hmm.
went to walk with the elders, and you became an elder, even if you were killed at young at age. So that, and that sometimes your warrior spirit would be reincarnated, sort of like, was it Tecumseh that they thought was, uh, a, a reincarnation or something?
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's one of those.
But to my point though, not all of the, what he just described is, remember, it's Hurons and them folks up there,
Hmm.
but not all. A lot of the Choctaw folks down this direction, in the creek, Muskogee Creek,
Hmm.
lower Muskogee Creek, to be specific, to these folks around here. No, we're lower Muskogee. We're not just Muskogee Creek. We're the lower. I mean, they're very emphatic about that.
Hmm.
Like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
But anyway, but they've not discussed this afterlife in the same respect. But I think it's an interesting point that it correlates a lot with Egyptian,
Hmm.
because at one time I used to own the Book of the Dead, and had read through it years ago. And I wish that I could have participated with you the other day, but I wasn't up to it. But yeah, the Egyptians, it was very elaborate in their deaths. And I
Hmm.
think in certain tribes, they like to make, certain ceremonies very elaborate. And
Hmm.
so in death, they had to make death elaborate as well.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I think they kind of believed for sure that, there's got to be more to life than just this. And I think it's just human nature to realize that we're thinking, breathing, more than we really are. Unlike, when you look at a cow or a horse or a dog or something, and yet, we are at the top of the food chain kind of thing. We're more intelligent than that dog kind
Yeah.
of thing. And
Well, maybe.
yeah, but I mean, we're capable of more, and the dog is going to come too, but it's still going to be a dog, and we're going to be thinking. Dog is kind of runs on a program, and then you teach it a few programs. Here, go outside, don't pee in the house, or lift your paw up, and or do something like that, or sit, stay, come, fetch the ball, whatever. Whereas a human, you decide what you're going to do. You wake up in the morning and well, am I going to get coffee, or am I going to cook breakfast? Am I going to watch TV? You make your own choices. Am I
And the
going to
dog's
fix?
waiting on you
Yeah.
to make
Uh,
those decisions.
yeah. You don't see a dog say, I think I'm going to go build me a house today.
Right.
I'm going to go invent something. I got an idea. sometimes they do silly little things, but mostly that dog, yeah, it thinks out of the box a little bit, maybe when he needs something food wise, or or gets
But
in the instinct.
from a four-legged standpoint, dog has a specific duty
Hmm.
as dog,
Yeah,
and if you invert it, it's God backwards, dog.
yeah, yeah.
And so, but dog teaches us so many things. I mean, Duggar teaches me stuff all the time. And we've learned how to communicate in different ways, and just with eyeballs and head gestures, and there's communication. So would he ever build a house? No, but it's not that he couldn't, he just doesn't see the need.
Well, yeah,
So there are, sometimes I think people overthink things, and that's why Native Americans were content to live in a teepee versus building a grand mansion somewhere.
mhm,
They were content to live there. They were happy in their surroundings, and understood that leave no trace. If you're out in the wilderness, you'd leave nothing behind, kind of thing. So they were the forebearers of that. In that's how most of them lived. Now, in the Northeast, they built some cabins and some long houses and stuff, where the Plains Indians didn't do that as much. Um, but the idea, though, that yeah, there's one of them there.
yeah. I had that pulled up for us today. I was like, you segued into that perfectly.
Well,
I
see,
mean,
but see, with that longhouse, you got to think also, if where Robert lives, there ain't many trees.
no,
You couldn't build something like that.
no.
There's just isn't enough material.
This is land where there's trees, and you build the. Well, the thing is, it's your building materials.
Right.
We showed the houses that they would have out here. You'd have teepees, you'd have those other dugout houses where you take the sticks and stuff. Remember, we showed what they had, and you got the hole in the roof, and I got it here somewhere, but I don't have it pulled up right now. But anyway, but in these houses, they live. This is them. You got bunks. You got your middle room. You got your smoke that goes up to the ceiling, and you got your bunk. Here's where you're sleeping. There's where I'm sleeping. Here you got a little stool maybe, and some luggage above you. There you go. Of course, these people, they didn't have much for possessions, and
Nope.
I don't think they wanted to acquire so many possessions either. Remember, every time somebody died, you took all his possessions, threw them in the hole with him, and covered it up. Or burned his house down with all his possessions in it and moved on.
But
You
see,
didn't
in
take.
other customs, though, all of the things were distributed amongst the tribe.
Well, yeah,
So any
that too.
tribe member could come up and say, I really liked old Joe, and I always liked that necklace or something. And if nobody else wants it, I want the necklace.
Yeah, yeah,
So it wasn't that it was sold off, but it was given off to those folks who wanted to remember old Joe. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So not
How
all
many?
tribes threw their
Oh,
threw their stuff in a hole. That's
oh,
it
we,
depended on the tribe.
yeah. Remember some of those guys that we talked about, like Crazy Horse and a few of these. They would lose their wife or something, and they'd be in a pit of remorse. Their world is ending. Nothing's going right. So he literally gives everything he owns away, to
Right.
start over new. I mean, gives everything away and then starts over. And that way he gets a kind of a fresh start. Here, this is one of the Huron Indians.
Well, one of the traditions that I had learned about and had known someone, that they gave away all their, if they knew that they were getting old or whatever, and I can understand it myself at my age, you give away stuff. And so that you don't collect it until you die and then give it away. You gift it to people before you pass away. Like here, I've had this for years, I want you to have it. if you'll take it, you know? And so I got a museum house full of stuff here, but and there are times when I'll just say, hey, you've been eyeballing that. You want it? Yeah, well, okay, then here, take it home with you. So I know
Yeah.
that as gifting from the elders. As they got older, they would just, I've collected too many things, but I can see where, someone who's simple and has fewer possessions would say, hey, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a relative. It can just be somebody that a young kid or a girl or a boy or whatever, and you admire them and you say, I would like for you to have this if you'll take it. So, but anyway, a lot of the elders that I spoke with, that was sort of their thing.
Yeah.
Was to gift it, give it away beforehand if possible, but then those few things that were special were given then if another elder wanted it, to pass it along to somebody else, because some of these objects would sort of have a spiritual connection to them. So why throw them in a hole when this person's spirit embodied this carving or something and it was his? And so you can carry the energy of old Joe with you because he hand carved this himself and it was one of his favorite things. Maybe it was his totem or something. So in respect, and also in that, now that the word effigy comes to mind, whatever the carving or something might be that he has, is given to somebody else, and that now you've got old Joe's energy with you.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, but that's true. When you get old, I know even like my parents, they're like trying to give everything away. My grandma was kind of the same way. I went over there and she's like, oh yeah, I got rid of that. I gave it to somebody. Somebody stopped by and you gave them that? Really?
Yeah.
It's like you had it for 20 years and then somebody out of the blue stopped by.
The mood just hit you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here,
Amazing.
take this home with you,
Yeah.
It's a strange feeling when it happens, and there's been some things I've given away. I'm like, are you serious? You gave that away? Talking to myself. You just, yep.
Yeah. Scotty Boy said something really good. He says he tried, I got rid of all my stuff and kept only one bed and was very happy. Well, good for him. It took only 1 year of not trying to accumulate it all back. Yeah, Shirley says I give everything away. People ask me if I'm dying. Yes, but not this minute.
Yep, but not this minute. Yep.
Yeah. She says I only give gifts I make. I do not buy anything for gratitude. Gratitude, yes. No, Lucky says possessions are just anchors and make it difficult to be free. That is so true. And then you work to keep that stuff because, it's like having a house. You buy a house, but then you got the upkeep. You got it for 5, 10, 20 years. The next thing you know, you're putting shingles on it. The siding goes bad. The piping starts to go bad. Nothing lasts forever. And then you're sticking money into it. And or a car, same way. You buy the car, it's all shiny, brand new, and you drive it. Well, it's going to need tires, and it's going to need exhaust, and it's going to need oil changes. And you're constantly maintaining that car so it can actually work. Amber's in the house. She said, I'm not going to lie. I really like my belongings. Yes, Amber. See, but the thing is you're not old. Maybe when you're old, you'll be like, nah, that doesn't mean so much anymore. I'm kind of like that too. I like having my stuff. I enjoy my things. And while I can take care of them, and while I can enjoy them and use them, I'm going to keep acquiring my things. But when I get older and I can't use them, I probably will give them away. You never know. So whoever you young people are out there, Keep hanging with me. Maybe someone will go your way when I get to be about 80.
There are some folks, though, that I have known over the years that are just, by God, they're going to keep it till they're dead, you know? And in a way, there are certain things that are like tools and stuff here that I'm not going to give it away. I don't know why, but there are certain things that are antique wrenches that my grandfather had. I mean, they were part of a, Model T and a Model A Ford back in the day. I mean, they date that far back, but I've used them on modern things to get me out of a bind. And
Yeah.
it's amazing. So, but if somebody says, well, I might give a tool away, but I'm not giving my tools away. Y'all can decipher them after I'm gone, but for whatever reason, as long as I'm breathing, I ain't giving away my tools. I might give away crystals or pictures or other kinds of stuff, but nah, I'm not giving my tools away. I think they're going to stay here till I'm dead. And then,
Well,
like I
yeah.
said, y'all figure it out after that. But so there are
Well,
certain things, and I can't tell you why, really, why I'm attached to the tools, in that I guess it's because whoever comes after me can have the tools to do whatever they need to do. And if I gave them all away to different people, then whoever came to take care of this place afterwards wouldn't have the tools to do it. So it's an offbeat kind of thing in my, thinking about this. But anyway, there's my 2 cents on that.
well, but you're right. But still, you can use the tools yet. That's the whole point. You're still, you may need those tools. They may become useful to you. But that crystal or that whatever else that you got, or the blanket or a bowl, or something that you have, and you go, I don't use that anymore. Probably not going to use it. And then you think, but that guy over there, now that guy could probably use it, right?
Right. And see, and it might be that a crystal is a different kind of tool, but that doesn't necessarily need to stay here. And my thinking with the house and everything, whoever comes after me, the tools kind of go with the house. So, you need to fix it. There's the tools out there in the shed. The shed's part of the deal, but now after I'm gone, if they want to distribute it or whatever, okie dokie. But in my brain, though, anything else is fair game.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
everything
exactly.
else is fair game. And it's not necessarily that I'm being possessive of the tools. I'm being possessive of the tools for the property reason. Anyway, I've
And it's
accumulated 40 years of stuff.
a guy thing too. I know
Yeah, it is.
I'm attached to my tools. I've had some of them for years and years, but I'm attached more to my tools, I would say, than some of the other objects I have in the house here too. So
Yeah, it might
I
be.
can definitely agree.
It might be, for example, the old Indian chief holds on to his knife
Yeah.
till like the last minute.
Mhm.
Because you never know when you might need that knife for any particular reason, especially back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So he might give away everything else but his knife. But
Yeah.
then if he's old and feeble and blind or whatever, he might go ahead and pass that knife along. So it can, it depends on the situation.
That's
But
right. That's right.
I know more old people give stuff away though than try to retain it. And all
Yeah.
the folks that I've known, they're like, hey, why don't you take that home with you? Or, I don't, it's not necessarily that I say we as an old person. It's not that we don't necessarily see the need for it anymore. It's that we want to pass that need on to somebody else. If it's a picture, then it was pleasing to us, and it made me smile. So, and it made me smile for years. So I want to pass that smile, along with the picture along, to you. And
hmm
so, and crystals or rocks or those kinds of things for me, there's energy within the rock, and it ain't necessarily mine. It's the energy of the rock itself, and I want to pass that along to someone, and hopefully it will help them in their lifetime and whatever they can, need to meditate and can hold a rock and it'll help them feel better or something like that. So, but anyway, so the type of gifts that we have, if it's a pot holder from Granny, it was her special pot holder, then put it in your kitchen. And then every time you see that pot holder, there's Grandma.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree. So what do you got for us tonight?
All right.
Tell me which one. What's this one called? I've been trying to look it up and I can't find it. What's it exactly called? What's the headline?
All right, I got to switch screens here for a second. It's Seneca Indian Mist.
Okay.
By J. Curtin, 1923 PDF. And you sent it to me a couple of weeks ago in an email.
Oh, okay. That helps.
And it was the Summer Conquers Winter, and it was not what we thought it was.
Yes. Okay.
So I was just going to go to the next story in line, which was, I'm looking at the contents, and it's Skedgedia and the Man-Eater. Skedgedy.
I'm glad you're having a hard time pronouncing it, because I always have a hard time pronouncing
Skagedi.
Yep.
Skedgedy. But anyway, I'm going to go look for page 8. When you find that PDF.
I did. I already found it. Once you gave me the hint, I'm right on it like an old hound dog.
Oh.
Old Duggar's gonna get jealous.
Oh, he's outside chasing something. Boy, he got onto something there just a bit ago. I had to let him out. I'm looking for page 8, so it takes this computer's kind of slow, but it gets us there.
Oh yeah, Scotty Boy's done good. He's got rid of everything but the wife, but he wants to give her away too. Really, he wants to give her away. Anybody up for that? Anyway, that's pretty funny.
Take my wife, please.
Yes,
the old joke. Skagedy and the Man-Eater, told by Andrew Fox. And Skagedy, half of anything is the half man. And Onguegias is the Man-Eater. Ooh, sounds, now this is about at least 8 pages long, so we'll see how it long it takes to read it. Hang on.
It's up and ready to go.
Nope, I gotta go back. All right.
Skagedy, half of anything, the half man. Ogunaiwas. Is that Anaguas?
Anguillas, as my guest trying to pronounce it phonetically.
The Man-Eater.
Man-Eater. He's a Man-Eater.
Who sang that song now? Oh man, you just say the thing. I can't remember who sang that song.
All right, so
Hall & Oates, that's who it was. Okay.
Oh, Man-Eater, that's true.
Hall & Oates. I used to love that song too.
I would have never guessed it.
Yeah, I was thinking that was like one of my favorite songs back in the day. When I was a kid, I had played that on the radio. I had one of those little transistor radios that put up by your ear, and dance around kind of thing. Oh, I'd come on the Casey Kasem show, and I'd be like,
Casey Kasem,
counting down the top 40.
The voice of Scooby-Doo, or Shaggy for a long time. It was Casey Kasem.
They got the new Scooby-Doo, and Shaggy's a black dude.
What?
And Velma, she's an Indian girl. from India.
You know, there are some things, I mean, can you please not screw with tradition too much? It's like Cinderella is a black woman. No, I'm sorry.
No, it's
come
Snow
on.
White. Snow White is
No,
the black one.
Yeah, but not Cinderella neither.
Yeah, well,
Don't mess with them. Create your own story, but leave Cinderella and Snow White the heck alone.
yeah,
I'm
I know.
sorry. They're traditional stories. Leave them alone. Call them something else.
Yeah, what do you say to a black Snow White when she's laying there and she says, "Oh, your skin is as fair as snow"? Well,
That's why they called her Snow White.
That's right. I mean, what do you got to say? Your skin is as fair as coal, you know, or so I don't know.
You'd be starting a song. Oh, Black Betty, bam, blam. That's it. Oh, Black Betty, bam, blam. Now,
no disrespect to people, but
no disrespect,
but it's come on, that's what the story was about.
Come on, and the fact that the story is some of these stories like Hansel and Gretel go back a long time, And I'm sorry there weren't any black people running around in the northern forest up there in Germany, and no.
Well,
it was just like there weren't any white people running around in Middle Africa back then,
Yeah, well, worse than that is that one movie where they had the Queen of England is a black woman. And I thought, how ridiculous is this movie where the Queen of England is a black woman? Now that makes no sense at all. I mean,
there are certain things, there are so many black stories that have not been told yet. Yes. And they have to screw with traditional white stories. And I mean, it's just like, I don't know, like, come on, please. I would love to hear your stories, not ours retold.
Yeah, just make up new stories.
Take some of the old stories from the old days. There are stories there's an island off of South Carolina that they still speak in the old Creole type language there. And, to this day they do it, so tell some stories about that. Tell stories about how how the black slave traders rounded up their own kin and sold them, to white men from the United States. Tell some of the real stories, and how they ran from the headhunters, and there are so many stories that could be and should be told, in my humble opinion. So, but quit hacking the old stories from the Northland. It's like, could you see a bunch of black guys as Vikings, for example?
Yeah, that was
I mean, as berserkers.
Black Vikings. I get it. That's
but the same would be true as white berserkers with the Zambezi tribe or something,
Yeah, exactly. How off would that look?
Yeah.
That tribesman's got really pale white skin. He sticks out like a sore thumb.
Gala, 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 Tarzan of the Apes, is now a Puerto Rican.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
Oh, mi amigos and mi chicas. I'm sorry. But that was funny.
Instead of going, from the treetop to treetop.
Ay, caramba!
There you go. Exactly. Oh boy.
We have kind of got off topic a little bit, haven't we? But but the thing is that the farcity of it all, in my humble opinion, but I would love to hear. I wish folks, the black authors, would quit hacking other things and tell the real stories. Honestly, we could use them, and without Disney characters either.
Yes, exactly.
We don't without song and dance and ooh la la.
Yep. Yep. I agree. Yep. It'd be like changing Mickey Mouse into a rat and then saying, oh, he's not a mouse anymore. He's a rat. Well, that doesn't
No, or
fit.
he's a squirrel, or
Or
no, he's a
squirrel.
hedgehog. You
Yeah,
know,
Mickey
Mickey Mouse
Mouse.
is now a hedgehog, or
Yes.
Bugs Bunny ain't a bunny anymore. You know.
Yes, exactly.
Me and a friend of mine were talking about rabbits the other day, and it was like, maybe Bugs Bunny was really chosen because of some of rabbits' habits. And I've kept rabbits for a couple of years, a few years back, and they're not fun.
Yeah.
Some of them things are nasty and vicious and will bite you, and it's like I could see where Bugs Bunny could get some of his antics in the cartoons from real, observing real animals.
Yep.
So, but anyway, let's get on with the story here, eh?
Yeah.
Since we took a right turn somewhere, Clyde.
Oh, yeah.
And for those of you, what Clint Eastwood movie was it where he said right turn, Clyde?
Any which way you can.
Oh, you were supposed to wait a minute.
Oh.
That's
all
Dave's
good.
trivia question for tonight. All right, let's get down to it. Yes, Sageji, the half man, and Onwigias, the man eater. Skakeji lived on a hill, and a man eater lived at the foot of the same hill. The man eater had a little kettle and a piece of chestnut. One day he scraped some of the chestnut into the kettle and, taking a stick, whipped the kettle till it was the size he wanted and was full of chestnut pudding. Then he called for someone to come and eat it with him. He began to sing and dance. When he reached the end of the house, he struck his mallet against a post and sang, "If a man-eater comes, I will kill him." Skakeji heard the song and the call, and he thought, I am hungry. Maybe I'd better go down to that man's house and get something to eat. He will not kill me, for I am not a man-eater. If he calls again, I will go. He stood waiting, uncertain what to do. Soon the man-eater sang, I wish Skakeji would come and help me eat this pudding. Now is my time, thought Skakeji. I will go. He sang, He ga ya, and jumped. Again he sang, Hi ga ya, and jumped. This was the way he traveled. He jumped by singing. At the first jump, he went over the hill, and then he said to himself, This is too risksome. That man is dangerous. Again he heard the song, If a man-eater comes, I will kill him. And he said, I think I'd better go home. He may kill me. Skakeji turned around and singing, He ga ya, jumped, but he didn't go where he wanted to. He came down near the man-eater's house. Hearing the man-eater's song, he was frightened and singing in a whisper, He ga ya. He jumped, but again he didn't go where he intended. He came down in front of the man-eater's house. The man-eater's song was drawing him there. He heard the mallet strike the wall and singing, He ga ya. To get away, he jumped and came down at the door. The man-eater opened the door and said, Come in. Skakeji was terribly frightened, singing, He ga ya, in a low whisper. He jumped to get away, but went straight into the house. I'm not going to kill you, said the man-eater. I want you to eat some of my pudding. Skakeji ate a good while, then stopped. You must eat all of the pudding I have given you, said the man-eater. That is my rule. Skakeji ate more of the pudding and then wanted to stop, but the man-eater said, hurry, I must go away. Eat quickly. Skakeji finished the pudding. The next time I invite you, said the man-eater, if you start, you must come, not start and try to turn back. Skakeji was so full of pudding that it was night before he got home. He could jump only a few feet at a time. The man-eater had always gone south to hunt for game, but now he went north. After a while, he came to an opening in the forest, and in the middle of the opening, he saw a house. I have never seen that house, thought he. I will go and find out who lives there. In the house was a very old man. Hello, said the man-eater. I have come to visit you. I have never seen you before, said the old man. No, what are you doing here? I have lived here always. I am a betting man. What game do you play? I play hide and seek and bet heads. Oh, that is the way you bet. I am alone in the world, but I don't want to have my head cut off. Can I come to life afterwards? No, you will stay dead. Well, I will go and talk with my uncle about this. I will come back. By his uncle, the man-eater meant Skakeji. He went home, made a pudding, struck the kettle twice, and had enough for two. Then he went to the post of the house, beat time on it with the mallet, and sang, I want my uncle to come and help me eat this pudding. Skakeji heard the song and said to himself, I am hungry, I will go. He sang, He Gaia, took a short jump and was outside of the door. Turning in the direction of the man-eater's house, he sang, He Gaia, jumped and was down the hill. Then he listened and wondered if the man-eater really called him. Again he heard the song, and then he said, Oh, he means me. He sang, He Gaia, jumped and was near the man-eater's house. And then he heard the blows of the mallet and was so frightened that he sang, He Gaia, in a whisper, and jumped to get away. But he didn't go as he wanted to. He came down at the door of the man-eater's house. Come in, said the man-eater. Yesterday I went toward the north. I had never been in that direction before, but I have killed everybody in the south, so I thought I would find out who lived in the north. I came to a house in an opening. In the house was a very old man who said that he had lived by betting. The man who loses the game loses his head also. He asked me to play. I told him I didn't know the game, but I would ask you if you knew anything about it. I know the game, said Skakeji. My father was a great player, but at last he lost his head. If you will help me, said the man-eater, I will help you. When you are hungry, you can always come here and get something to eat. I will never harm you. I will tell you what to do, said Skakeji. The old man will hide first, and you will have 3 chances to find him. Begin inside the house, but for your last chance, say, I have found you. You are up behind the sun. Then it will be your turn to hide. Go under the back of the old man's breechcloth. If he finds you, it will be a tie. Then he will go in at one end of the log on the fire and out one end of the house. I don't know which end. That is your chance. Skakeji ate his pudding and went home. The next morning, the man-eater hit the post and sang, "Now I must be strong and kill the old man who bets heads." He went to the house in the opening and called out, "Hello, my friend." The old man looked up and said, "Oh, you've come again. Will you play a game with me?" "I will play." "What do you do at home?" "I hunt." "Do you find enough game?" "Yes, I go in every direction and kill everybody I find." "You kill animals?" "I do not. I kill men and witches." "That is my way of living," said the old man. "Now we will have a little sport. We will play hide and seek. If you find me and I find you, it will be a tie. Then we will have a foot race, or we will pitch quotes to decide the game. I will hide first. Stand there and cover your head with a blanket. And when I say one, throw off the blanket and hunt for me." The man-eater waited a while, then he heard far away, "One." He took off the blanket and found himself alone. He hit the fire with the mallet and said, "You are under the fire." No answer. He waited, then called out, "You are up behind the sun." The old man came down and said, "Now it is your turn to hide," and threw the blanket over his head. The man-eater made himself small, crawled under the old man's breech cloth, then said, and his voice seemed far away, "One." The old man looked everywhere. "You are behind that big star up there," said he. No answer. He went out and around the house, and finding a crack in the house, struck it and said, "You are in here." No answer. Then he went into the house and taking his pipe, made of a wildcat's head, he said, "I will smoke. Maybe the smoke will tell me where to find that man." He drew a long whiff. The smoke went toward the corner of the house where the corn powder was. The old man struck the powder and called out, "You are in the pounder." His 3 chances were gone. The man came from the back of his breechcloth. Then the old man felt him move, and clapping his hand to his thigh, said, "You were here." "I was." "That was sport. Let's play again," said the old man. "I have played long enough," said the man-eater, and catching the old man by the hair, he cut off his head. Then he thought he would look around and see what the man had been doing. At the edge of the woods, he found a great many bones. He stacked the bones up and then going to a tree, gave it a push and called out, "Get up or the tree will fall on you." Men sprang up and ran for their lives. All the people in the world heard the tree fall and knew that someone had killed the old man. The man-eater burned up the old man's house and his body. Then he carried the head home and put it up at the end of his house. The next morning he thought, "Now I will make a pudding for my uncle." He scraped a little chestnut into a kettle, struck the kettle with a switch, and straightway the kettle was large and was full of pudding. Then he struck the post with his mallet and sang for Skakeji to come. Skakeji heard the song and said, "My nephew has killed the betting man." He sang, "He got ye," and with 2 jumps was at the house. "What luck did you have?" asked he. The man-eater showed the head and said, "This is my luck." "Well, nephew," said Skakeji, "that would have been your head if I hadn't helped you. I know it, and I will always help you and give you a plenty to eat. Will I have more trouble if I go further north? Have you been in the north? I have been all over the world. 2 long jumps will take me anywhere. If you have trouble, I will help you. Skakeji went home, and the next morning the man-eater went north again. He passed the house he had burned and went on till he came to an opening and saw a woman standing on a log that was lying on the ground. The woman had great eyes and was looking around in every direction. If she saw anything, even a bird or a mouse, she called out, "I have caught you. I think you are a man." When the man-eater saw her, he dodged behind a tree. If the bird or animal she called to were a man, or her words made him take his own form, then she squeezed his heart and killed him. The man-eater had never seen such a woman. He thought, "That is a dangerous woman. I will go home." And he crept away. The next morning he sang and danced, and his steps shook the world and frightened everybody. Skakeji said, "My nephew has come." The man-eater cooked a bit of the chestnut he had stolen from people in the south, and when he had switched the kettle and made it large, he said, "Now I will sing for my uncle. I want to ask him about the woman who stands on a log." Skakeji heard the song and singing, "He Gaia." He made a jump and was over the tree and down the hill. Then he, with a whispered song and a short jump, he was in the man-eater's house. While he was eating, his nephew asked, "Off in the north there is a woman who stands on a log and says to every mouse or bird or living creature she sees, 'I have caught you. I think you are a man.' I have never seen such a woman. I want to talk to her." "I know that woman," said Skakeji. "She caught my brother. If she sees you first, she will catch you and squeeze your heart. If you are weak, she will kill you. If you are very strong, you may come home, but you will be sick." "I want to kill that woman," said Man-eater. "Well," said Skakeji, "I will help you if you will promise to stop killing people. It is wrong to kill people and eat them." "Well, I was brought up on such flesh," said the man-eater. "I couldn't live on game as you do. I will try, but I don't want to starve." "You must come and eat my kind of food," said Skakeji. He went home and cooked fat deer meat, and then he sang, "Man-eater must come and eat. The man-eater must come and eat." The man-eater heard the song and started. Then he came into the house of Skakeji, placed deer meat before him, and said, "You must eat it all. That is my rule." He ate the meat and went home. For a while he was sick. Then he felt better and was hungry. He tried to eat some of his own kind of meat, but the first bite made him sick. He thought he would go and ask Skakeji what he could do to get well. He was so weak that he was a long time getting to the house on the hill. Skakeji said, "Try my meat." And he gave him bear meat. He ate it and felt stronger. "I will come tomorrow and eat more of your kind of meat," said he. "If it doesn't make me sick, I will hunt deer and bears hereafter and let men alone." The next morning, he took a mouthful of his own food. It made him sick. "I will eat no more of this kind of meat," said he, and he went to Skakeji and said, "Hereafter, I will eat your kind of food. Now tell me about the woman." Skakeji said, "When you come to the opening, you must call a mole to go inside of it and tell it to take you to the log. When the mole gets to the log, jump out and say to the woman, I have caught you. The man-eater went home, took down the heads stuck up around the house and pushing them along with a stick, for he was afraid of getting sick if he touched them. He got them far away from the place. Then he went off and killed a deer and came home, cleaned up his kettle, cooked the deer meat, and ate it with relish. The next day, the man-eater went to the opening and found the woman standing on the log, watching for a fly, a bird, a mouse, or any living thing so that she could sing out, I have caught you. I think you are a man. He called a mole and told it to carry him under the ground and come up near where the woman stood. He made himself small, went into the mole, and when it was right at the log, he sprang out and called, I have caught you. That minute, he took hold of the woman's heart and squeezed it. She screamed and begged him not to kill her. You must go home, said the man, and on the way you must sing. We will have a dance. We will have a dance. The woman started, and as she traveled, she sang, We will have a dance. Her sisters heard the song and said to one another, Our sister has been beaten. She is sick. The mother sent the youngest sister to tell an old medicine man to come and to cure her daughter. He asked what the woman's song was, and when told, he said, You must notify all the people in the world and have a great dance for your sister. The dance was called and the food made ready. The woman came and danced, but all at once she fell to the ground and died. The man-eater saw a great many bones around the log where the woman had stood. After working a long time, he got the bones into a pile. Then going to a nearby tree, he called out, Get up or the tree will fall on you. Men and women sprang up and started to run, but he called them back and sent them to their homes. Skakeji's father and mother and his brother were in the crowd. So was the man-eater's wife. When Skakeji saw his relatives, he was glad. The man-eater never ate human flesh again. The end. How about that for an interesting story?
That was very interesting. I tell you, I don't know. These stories are really good. Yep. Yes, they are. I mean, see, that's kind of like a fresh idea, we haven't heard that stuff. Take one of those stories and make a movie about it, right?
Right. And that's just Native American,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that is true. Oh, the chat room's going crazy today. Good for you guys. Hate it when they kill me at Sky Boys. I hate it when they kill me at a dance. Yes, Jargo Smith, the peoples came from her bones. Yes. A lot of plot twists. There's always those crazy people out there that are cannibal people eaters, and throughout history. There's always, I remember when I was a kid, there was this guy lived a couple counties up or something like that, and he would dig up bodies in the cemetery and tan their hides, and he made furniture out of it. Things like that, lampshades and furniture and coats and jackets and whatever.
Yep.
Ed Gein, that's what it is. I think it was Ed Gein. I don't remember, but anyway, yeah, it was spooky things. Spooky things. There was a few other ones. But I'm sure there was plenty more in history that we just don't know about. It just didn't get caught. Think of all the ones that don't get caught, people that
Oh
go
yeah.
missing. People that go missing, and then you go, I wonder whatever happened to that person. What do you think happened?
Yeah, there was an old man around here that I did not get along with. And he was one person that I told him, I said, if I ever caught him messing around with any children, I was going to kill him and take his body down in the swamp and nobody'd ever find him. And I was serious about it. I was dead serious about it. Interesting.
What do we got tonight?
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
And I'm not sure if it was upside down or not. I turned it. Yeah, that's one card. So let's see if there's another one here in this pile that wants to come out and jump at us. Yeah, you have to stop and think that the people who do some of this stuff, they can't be right. They can't be right in the head. You know, and one of the things is should definitely Jeffrey Dahmer, be condemned for how he felt about eating people, for example. But it ain't right in modern day society, and we don't, agree with it and how he went about it, etc. Blah blah blah. But but is it necessary? It wasn't wrong in his eyes for whatever reason. That don't make it right in society. But he thought he was being cool or whatever, So
that's for sure. See, and that's the thing is these people. Some people just have no soul, no remorse, no thought of
or whatever.
Yeah.
I would never even think about some of the horrendous things that have been done to people. I just, can't think of some of the tortures that they did in medieval times. I just, okie doke. Somebody sat up at night with a candle thinking about how to, turn thumb screws or something. I don't get it.
And then for those people to get other people to do that stuff and not think, wow, how immoral this is. I'm literally torturing that person. He's screaming out in pain and agony. But let's see if I can do it a little bit more. How about we stretch him or whip him or beat him or something? Wow, that guy's really, really hurting. Well, let's do it a little more. See what happens.
Let's rip his arms off,
Yeah, wow, look at the blood pouring out, but let's pull his legs off now. It's like, what the fudge? Your worst enemy is other people. Put it that way.
Yep. That's exactly true. What's the worst animal on the planet? Man,
yes.
Mankind.
Yeah, that's why we create our own problems. And everything. It's like, like they always saying about how many people did God kill or the devil kill. No, they didn't kill anybody. They got other people to do it for them. And people, I heard the word of God and told me to do this and kill somebody or whatever. Well, no, you did it, not the word, or not the voice in your head didn't do anything. You physically went out and did that stuff. You did the stuff. It's people. People are evil.
Yep. And the Catholic Church during the time of the Inquisitions and stuff, and during the burning of the witches and everything, the fact that you could set a person on fire in the middle of town and call it, are you serious?
Yeah.
Witch burning. Let's all have a picnic. But the fact, it was one thing to hang a person, which they used to have hangings back in the day, but to burn somebody alive, I can't even imagine. I just can't imagine. So, but and the fact that it was commonplace, that even in a way makes it worse. But anyway, so but with pulling the buffalo card, it's prayer and abundance, and that seems to be a good card to pull for tonight.
It is. It is. We need that. Things are we need abundance and a little bit of prayer too. There's a lot of things going on in this world.
There are a bunch of us that could use a prayer too at the moment.
That's right. I talked to Isby today. Sounds a little down and out and whatever. He's got a lot of hard times going on too. I feel bad for him. He's just hanging in there. It sounds like he just. I feel for him. Put it that way. I feel for him.
Yep. And I would be in a similar situation if I didn't own a house.
Yeah.
I would be in a very similar situation that Isby's in right now, where you have to be taken care of by somebody else, and you have to live in a facility, and you got to go by those rules. And fortunately, at the moment, knock on wood, I'm still here.
Yeah. That's my goal. I'm gonna get a house before I get old and die or something.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that you gotta, when you're get up to that age, that you gotta have, and that's a place to live. And
if it ain't but a one-room shack.
Yeah, your own place. That way, nobody can come in and take it from you. Nobody can tell you what to do. You don't want to rent a house for the rest of your life. Living in some little apartment, pay the rent, and just that's not my way.
And see, and I got friends of mine, for example, good people, worked all their lives. They're on Social Security, retired, and the landlord comes up the other day and says, "Well, we're going up on your rent."
Yeah.
And the people go, "Well, what?" "Well, you can move, or you can pay the extra rent."
Yeah, we're on a fixed income, and that's my income.
Yep.
Well, tough luck.
There you go. Yeah. So number 19 is Buffalo. And I think it was right side up, but I'll read the other end of it too when I get there. Okay. The contrary part. But Buffalo, prayer and abundance. Buffalo, you bring us the gifts of life. Hear our prayers. Smoke rising like phoenix. We are reborn within the sacred words. In the Lakota tradition, it was the white buffalo calf woman who brought the sacred pipe to the people and taught them to pray. The bowl of the pipe was the receptacle that held the tobacco, an herb with male and female medicine. The stem of the pipe represented the male entering the female and seeding life. In the coming together of male and female, the connection to the divine energy of the Great Spirit was made. As the pipe was loaded with tobacco, every family in nature was asked to enter into the pipe and share its medicine as prayer and praise to the heavens. The smoke was considered to be visual prayer and was very sacred and cleansing. I want to go back to this for a moment. The divine energy of the Great Spirit was made, and it's the connection with male and female. And it doesn't necessarily mean you got to have sex to do it. It means that the male energy and the female energy is necessary for the divine energy. So a lot of folks want to pass that on, that only one or the other has it. No, it's the combination of the two, male and female. So all animals are sacred, but in many traditions, the white buffalo is the most sacred. The appearance of white buffalo was a sign that prayers are being heard, that the sacred pipe is being honored, and that the promises of prophecy are being fulfilled. The white buffalo signals a time of abundance and plenty. Buffalo was the major source of sustenance for the Plains Indians. It gave meat for food, hide for clothing, warm and soft buffalo robes for long winters, and hooves for glue. The medicine of buffalo is prayer, gratitude, and praise for that which has been received. They want me to repeat that. The medicine of buffalo is prayer, gratitude, and praise for that which has been received. Buffalo medicine is also knowing that abundance is present when all relations are honored as sacred. All relations means everything, everything in nature, in the universe, all relations. So when you honor all things as sacred, and when gratitude is expressed to every living part of creation, because of its desire to give the gifts of its body provided, and because of its willingness to be used on earth for the highest good before entering the hunting grounds of spirit, buffalo did not readily stampede and run from hunters. To use buffalo medicine is to smoke the pipe in a sacred manner and to give praise for the richness of life to be shared with all races. The richness of life to be shared with all races, all creatures, all nations, and all life. It means smoking for others so that their needs are met, praying for the good of all things in harmony, and accepting the great mystery as part of that harmony. Now, you know, Robert, we were talking about earlier about, you know, the afterlife and so forth. And one of the things that the entering the hunting grounds, you know, of the Great Spirit. So
Yep.
the happy hunting grounds you've heard in movies and stuff, the happy hunting grounds, you
Yep.
know, so when you passed on, you were going to continue as a warrior, whatever, and you were going to continue in the happy hunting grounds. So if you've drawn the buffalo card, you may be asked to use your energy in prayer. You may also be called upon to be an instrument of someone else's answer to a prayer. This could portend a time of recognizing the sacredness of every walk of life, albeit different from your own. To honor another's pathway, even if it brings you sadness, is part of the message that buffalo brings. This may be a time of reconnection to the meaning of life and the value of peace. Most assuredly, this time will bring serenity amidst the chaos if you pray in earnest for enlightenment and the power of calmness, and give praise for the gifts you already have. That's a great line right there.
Yep.
Most assuredly, this time will bring serenity amidst chaos. Serenity amidst chaos. If you pray in earnest for enlightenment and the power of calmness, and give praise for the gifts you already have. Buffalo medicine is a sign that you achieve nothing without the aid of the Great Spirit, and that you must be humble enough to ask for that assistance and then be grateful for what you receive. Now, I wasn't sure if it was right side up or not, so I'm going to read some of the contrary. To receive buffalo upside down is a signal that you have forgotten to seek help when it has been needed. If your hand is closed in a fist, you cannot receive the bounty of abundance. And that's just good information right there. You can't receive anything if your fist is closed. In understanding the significance of the reverse buffalo, you well should ask yourself, have I forgotten my eternal partner, the Great Spirit? Am I pushing myself too fast in the physical world and keeping myself from seeing the importance of reunion with the source of all life. In other words, you're out running around and listening to your tape, but you ain't paying attention to, you know, to the source of all life, to the creator. Have I forgotten to honor the ways of others and to afford them the same respect that I wish to receive myself? You know, sometimes we push people away for the weirdest reasons. You know, well, I don't like his shoes, or I don't like the way he wears his pants, or
Mhm.
whatever. But you
Yeah.
know, you ostracize them in some way, and you know, pay attention to that. Have I forgotten to be grateful for my life, for my possessions, for my talents, my abilities, my health, my family, and my friends? Have you forgotten to be grateful for those things? Just say thank you to the universe and mean it. So, anyway, become Buffalo. Feel the smoke of prayer and praise change your buffalo robe. Oh, and change your buffalo robe to white so that you may be an answer to the prayers of the world. So now the next one is butterfly. And butterfly is all about metamorphosis, I believe, which is interesting in that, you know, the buffalo card, you know, the upside down of it, the contrary, um, is such that, you know, um, have you forgot certain things? If it's, yeah, transformation. Yep, it's the egg stage, the larva stage, and the cocoon stage. Butterfly is transformation. Butterfly that flutters in the morning light. You have flown many forms before ere you took flight. The power that butterfly brings is akin to the air. It is the mind and the ability to know the mind or to change it. It is the art of transformation. To use butterfly medicine, you must astutely observe your position in the cycle of self transformation. Now, Buffalo was talking about transformation also. Like butterfly, you are always at a certain station in your life activities. You may be at the egg stage, which is the beginning of all things. This is the stage at which an idea is born, but not yet become a reality. The larvae stage is the point at which you decide to create the idea into the physical world, and the cocoon stage involves going within, doing or developing your project or the aspect of your personality. The final stage of transformation is the leaving of the chrysalis and the birth. This last step involves sharing the colors and joy of your creation with the world. If you look closely at what butterfly is trying to teach you, you will realize that it is the never ending cycle of self transformation. We are always morphing into something else. For every day, for every week, every month, we are moving into a different cycle, whether we like it or not. It is just part of life cycles. The way you discern where you are in a particular cycle is to ask yourself, is this the egg stage? Is this just a thought or an idea? Is this the larval stage? Do I need to make a decision about something? Is this the cocoon stage? And am I developing and doing something to make my idea a reality? Um, or is this the birth stage? Am I sharing my completed idea? By asking yourself these questions, you will discover how butterfly is relating to you at this moment. So you may need to look at your life and go, what stage am I at? You know, am I just formulating new ideas or am I at the end of a cycle? You know, and do it. Maybe I need to start a new cycle. Maybe I need to become another butterfly. You know, we need to keep changing. When you understand where you are, the symbol can teach you what to do next to continue in the cycle of your self-transformation. If you have found the position through which you are cycling, you will see the creativity of butterfly. Using the air or mental powers of this medicine is done with ease. As an example, you have been feeling exhausted and have asked how to heal your fatigue. Take notice of the colors you've been drawn to recently. Does your body feel better wearing green? Could this mean that you need to eat more vegetables? This type of thinking is an inspiration from butterfly. Butterfly can give you clarity to your mental powers and help you organize the project you may be undertaking. So, but remember, we're always in a transformation of one type or another. And buffalo medicine, yeah, that's good too. So, two positive cards tonight. Even in upside down, it's positive in a way.
That is for sure.
Be thankful for what we have. Be grateful, you know, and that gratefulness goes a long, long way in the long run.
That's right. Be grateful for, people take for things that they got for granted. That is one of those things that people, I mean, I do it myself. So you take things for granted, and then one day you'll wake up and everything will be changed. And you'll wish for the old days. I know my buddy told me the other day, he said, things are changing, and what I wouldn't give to go back in time. And, when we were on the farm and doing things like that and hanging out with our buddies and playing CB tag and having fun stuff. And boy, I'd love to go back to those days. And I said, yeah, all we got left is those memories. Because, those things are done for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best we can hope for is to project them for the future, if that's at all possible. And I think that by telling the stories, the old stories, the way we do here with you and this channel, and also me and mine too, but specifically here, in that we want to be able to keep those old stories alive. Right. And that whether or not they have ever been told, whether or not you was ever a Seneca Indian or not, or whether you ever sat around a fire with the elders or not, we want to try to bring you those stories and at least a sense of what it was like back in those days, and I hope that we've achieved that in some way, shape, or form, so.
Me
is that
too.
a segue of sorts?
It is. Scotty boy played CB tag too. Well, how about that? That's a hell of a run. I mean, nobody uses CBs anymore. I mean, I got one in my truck, but most of the time I just listen. But nobody talks. Nobody talks.
No, like I do have a CB, but it's not in my truck. But
yeah,
I do have one.
Yep, that is for sure. Well, anyway, it's been a great night. We're at our 2-hour mark, so we should probably sign off. Are you going to do a show tonight?
Maybe for a little bit.
Okay. Well, with that, remember everybody, it's been a great show. Thank you for all of you for coming. Amber Dawn, Scotty Boy, Shirley, Jargo Smith, Mark the Arc Spark, and all those others who probably signed off already. But thank you for coming. I hope you enjoyed the stories. Hope you enjoyed spending time with us, because we sure enjoyed spending it with you. Can't wait to be back next week. So remember, go out, do something nice for somebody. Even if it's just a little thing, just a little stuff. Wave to somebody, do something nice. And remember, be the frequency you want to receive, everyone. Love y'all. Peace, everybody. And there we go. Another